Hey, so today I'm going to talk to you about music. Music is one of the most dystopian things that exists in our society, okay? Music is so completely weird and crazy, and people just act like it's normal, like what music does to us, and uh, how music engages with us in our day to day. Like, there's some people who can't survive without going for a run and listening to music, right? That's pretty weird. There's some people who can only focus and work when they're listening to music. That's pretty weird. And the fact that we have Spotify and we have earbuds and we plug in, we're watching something or just listening to music as we go about our day, I think that's completely horrible. And I don't agree with that. And I think that you should stop listening to as much music. You shouldn't listen to music on earbuds, and you should be very discerning in what music is doing to you. So, let's just unpack this for a second. So, music is a wave that you can send to someone, a sound wave. And when you send to them a certain sound wave, instead of going for the rational part of the brain, instead of going for the part of your brain like in a discussion right now where I can talk with you rationally, I can make appeals to you, I can do whatever, right? Instead of appealing on that level, what music does is it just beams an emotion from somebody right into your brain. So they beam an emotion into your brain. Now that's kind of crazy, right? And if you think about human society, like think about those Napoleonic era uh, battalions that are marching, okay, and they all have the drums like do 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 do. They all have these drums, and they're like playing the flute and all that. And what it's doing is it's hyping you up for war, right? It's the war drums. It's the boom, boom, boom. It's the beat of war. And the reason that this is done, obviously, is not just because we like music, right? It's not because we like music. Like, there's a lot of things that people like on a campaign march, right? People probably want cake. They probably like cake. But the army doesn't bring along cake, okay? Probably not much cake at all, okay? They bring along these marching bands, though, right? And the reason they bring those marching bands along, you'd have to assume, is because they're actually useful to the morale of the army, to get the boys hyped to go to war, okay? So we have to then, if we accept that the army is doing this, the drum beat of war, to get you into a war mood, to get you into a war frenzy, and if we accept too that music makes you feel emotions, then we have to accept that there is people at the top leadership level, like Napoleon Bonaparte himself or whoever the head is, who are deliberately planning what kind of music is being played in order to get the masses of soldiers to do specific things. And, just think for a second about just the dystopian nature of music. Imagine that you're having a happy day, and then someone starts playing that Beatles song like, just take a sad song and make it, and you suddenly start to feel this sort of melancholy, with a tinge of bittersweet, right? That's the emotion that is put into you by this Beatles song. And you could be having a totally good day, you're feeling hyped, you're feeling all this, but the second that song plays, you start feeling that emotion, okay? And if you started to listen to a lot more songs like that, your emotions would switch. Your emotions would switch into that mode of being. So yeah, I mean that's kind of crazy, right? That there's this sound wave someone can put in you to make you feel things, because you're supposed to feel things because you've been evolved over billions of years to have certain inputs, outputs, and your body is guiding your conscious mind towards doing what needs to be done. So for instance, maybe your conscious mind is like, I'm really happy, I just did this math problem or whatever. But your brain is like, you haven't eaten anything, you're hungry, you need to eat food, and maybe it makes you angry, okay? And then you stop doing the math problem because you're like, I can't focus, I need to go eat. And that's why your brain gave you that emotion, because you needed to eat, and it is for your own benefit. It is so that you are nourished, so that you grow big and strong, so that your brain goes stronger. Then you can do the math later on when you're feeling in a focused, concentrated mood. But the fact that music can come in and music can interrupt this whole process that guides your very thoughts. You know, like you have the mind's eye, you have thoughts that are in your rational sort of mind's focus, what you consider to be your conscious self. But the leading string of your thoughts is controlled by your emotions. So if you're angry, you will start to get angry thoughts in mind. Like if you're angry about one thing, and then someone reminds you, oh, you have to go do this, you're like, why did that person ask me to do that? Like, I don't like that. And this will gradually, your mind's eye, based on your emotions, will produce thoughts that are more angry, or produce thoughts that are more sad, or produce thoughts that are more disgusted, like any type of emotion, right? And to me, and this is just crazy, right? Like you have a process which is meant for your own fulfillment, your own well-being, your own evolved way of keeping you healthy and safe and sane. And music can come in and just hijack this process and makes you feel whatever the music wants you to feel. It's like people say, like, how do you hack the human brain, right? How do you hack the human brain? There's no USB outlet in me. Well, I have these ears, right? I have these ears, and they are my USB outlets. People can go and they can give the correct sequence of sounds, and if that correct key is passed by, they will change what my feelings are. And of course, I have my own internal, encryption defense. I can have sort of rational and also irrational loops where if somebody does something to me that reminds me of something that someone else has done to me in the past, I can sort of react counter to how you would think I would act. There's all these sorts of things I can do where I can be like, hey, I know they're playing that song just to make me want to go to war. Or I know they're playing that song just to make me sad. You can think that and you can defend yourself. But that's not how we act in the modern world, right? We don't even consider that music is used to make us feel certain ways. And I mean, I think that's just a big thing, because when we talk about being addicted to our screens, being addicted to social media, addicted to YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, I don't know, Tumblr, I don't know. When we talk about these things, or Instagram too, and Snapchat, all the social media, TikTok, when we talk about being addicted to these things, we talk about the videos that are just playing, that are captivating our attention, that are captivating our eyesight. And certainly that's part of it. But the thing is with your eyes, right? You can close your eyes, right? You can close your eyes, you can look away. You don't need to look at things, you can always close your eyes. There is no discernible way to close your ears. There's no way to close your ears at all. While you're sleeping, someone can play something, and your unconscious mind could hear it. While you're awake, you can cover your ears, I guess, but that's a little impractical, right? For the most part, your ears are always open. And when we think about something like movies, I mean, why are movies so powerful, You ever notice an intro scene of a movie? Like my favorite intro in a movie is Pirates of the Caribbean, and he comes in on this epic ship and it's like sinking beneath him. It's such a cool scene. But that scene would not be cool if it were not for the music. Like the way the music plays in the scene where it's like, he goes to look at the pirates, and then he like puts his hat down and the music gets all melancholy, and then he's like up at the top of the ship and the music's all epic, and then when it turns out the ship is sinking, it kind of goes away, right? It all plays in, it all makes me feel a certain way. That scene with no music would not be the same whatsoever. And you have to think, like, the reason this stuff is so powerful is really because of the music. And people will always talk about the screens, they will always talk about the visual aspect, but they will not talk about the musical element. So to sort of review here, just to get the basic premise out of the way here, music can make you feel a certain emotion. And governments, armies, militaries, all this sorts of stuff use music to make you feel a certain way, so that you presumably do a certain thing. So if you're feeling really amped up and ready to go to war with this drum like boom, 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 you feel amped up, right? You want to go fight. So that this encourages you to go fight. If you're marching and need to march for a long time, maybe that little flute will make you feel like you'll be in a continuous motion. So these songs, governments do use them to have an effect on you, and they do affect your emotion, and then your emotion affects your thoughts. So in effect, what we've got here is a form of mind control, where someone can just launch the right sound waves at your head, and you will do the correct things, because it sort of goes, music affects your emotions, emotions affect your thoughts, thoughts affect your actions, okay? And it goes like that, right? So, I mean, that's really dystopian. And now, let's just consider the ways that this is actually used on us in the modern day. So I would say the most, you can get really deep into this. You can sort of, it starts to get really a little bit interpretive, but I have my own ideas about why music is the way it is. But I think the most obvious one is the club, the concept of the club. Now, the club, for the most part, is not filled with very smart or intelligent or strong people. The club is, it's a waste of time. It's dancing. Do most people like to dance that much? No, they don't. It's something which is against your own health and well-being to go and to do drugs and alcohol and to go dancing all night. I mean, I've gone clubbing a few times, and in fact, quite a few times, I'll be honest, and I've never come away being like, wow, that was amazing. I think maybe one time, you meet someone cool, you have a great discussion, but that wasn't because of the club. That was because I met someone cool and had a nice discussion. For the most part, I find no joy at all in doing the sort of clubbing. And honestly, almost any guy I know, any girl as well, does not like the club, doesn't really like it. They just pretend to like it, or they have the idea that they like it. And what is this premise based off of? Well, all of our music that we listen to, that is given to us, that is distributed to us, is the music of, no, not all of it, but the vast majority. It's like, we're gonna dance till we die, in the club with the lights on, all these sorts of verses. I mean, there's hundreds, there's thousands, and it all portrays the club as somewhere you go to be cool, to be epic, to be in the group, to be in the know, to be powerful, to showcase your wealth, to showcase your strength. It's filled with attractive people, attractive men, attractive women, and they're all coming together, and they're just like showcasing how cool they are. That's basically how modern music portrays it. And if you think about it, this music, there's different types of music that makes you feel different emotions, but a lot of the emotions in our society that are like, where I'm strong, I'm gonna go crush it, I'm gonna go destroy, I'm gonna go psh, psh, I'm gonna go be the best I can be. A lot of that music is club music, which is funny, right? Because when you drink alcohol, if you do drugs, if you spend every Friday and Saturday night, or even more nights, maybe in some cases, drinking and dancing and whatever with just strangers, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to progress towards your goals, right? So isn't it so weird that in our society, the music that we play is tied to this concept of doing something which, so when you feel strong, the music that is associated with that is the music that tells you to go do something which makes you weaker, right? So I don't know, if you're really into going to the club, you might disagree with that. You might have some objections, but I think that's just really true. I think if you think about it enough, and that's just obviously true. So that's really dystopian, right? That's really dystopian that we can have music trigger certain thoughts, feelings, trigger our thoughts, and make us perceive things which are not perceived, which one would not naturally come to. For instance, if you go back to like medieval Europe, or maybe the early Renaissance, whatever, I don't think you're gonna find clubs. Okay, not how we interpret it. There used to be sort of gentlemen's clubs, and I'm not talking about a strip club. I'm talking about a gentlemen's club, an association. They go do a specific thing. Like you have the ship's club, the army club, the high society, the engineering club. I don't know, but there's these sort of clubs where people can go and they can sort of, I don't know, play tennis, like talk amongst themselves, sort of plan things. Maybe they have a little music, maybe they have a ballroom, but it's a ballroom, okay? It's not a dark, sweaty mass of a club. And it's not about doing drugs, okay? So yeah, so those used to exist, but now we just have clubs. And yeah, clearly, if this is the only time in human society when, or one of the only times at least, I'm not aware of any others, where people are so into going to the club, and I think never before in human history, to my understanding, has there ever been such like a active club environment as there is in the modern West, at least. You have to think that there's some reason for this. There has to be some, it's not biological, right? Because it's never happened before. So there has to be some sort of technological reason. And I would posit that clearly, if you look at the music, if you accept that music manipulates your emotions and manipulates your thoughts, And just on a personal level, for me personally, I really did some introspection. Why did I think the club was that great? Why did I go do that? Why did I go poison myself? You would have I personally feel very strongly it's from music, because nowhere else in my life did anyone push this idea that a club was so great. In fact, if anyone was ever telling me, "Oh, you got to go to the club, you got to go to the club," I looked at them and I thought, "Is this the person I want to be around?" No, right? So I naturally was like, everything in my real life, the real people I interact with, the things I do, they actually tell me not to go to the club. But it is the music which tells me to go. Okay? So what are we to do about this is the question. I think that if you're coping, if you're here, you're saying, "Oh, the TikTok is keeping me on TikTok. It's the sound, or sorry, it's the visuals. It's the I love watching Subway Surfers and blah 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 blah." I would encourage you to try watching TikTok, try watching Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is, without the audio. Okay, I would encourage it. Or like at least you could try doing something where anytime any music plays, you just click away. You only listen to people talk. And I think what you'll find is that you can only listen. I mean, people talking is its own issue. I'm not saying that, and the visuals, of course, are probably not great for you to just be ingesting propaganda right into your brain all day. But that's sort of a separate issue. But I think at the root here, if we're going to accept that other stuff is bad, we have to accept that the music is really kind of at the core here. Because before we had TV, before we had the radio, before we had all this stuff, we had music. We had the drummer playing in the marching band as the army crosses by. In medieval times, you can imagine, I don't know if it really happened, but I assume so. I see it in sort of movies. You see this like drum, 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 drum when they're going to war. Like if you've seen Mad Max, they play the war drum. I think that this is very deep into human society, into human culture. And I think that it's part of the reason that we are such social animals, and I think it's part of how we evolved in order to be, in order so that we're not all just killing each other, so that we're not all completely individualistic. I think music is one of the ways that nature evolved, where humans can get together. They can get together under one leader and go and do something. So, yes, what is to be done about this? I think that first of all, you should experiment when someone shows music to just not listen to it and then see how you feel, because I think you'll actually feel a lot less manipulated. I think you'll feel that a lot more of your thoughts are your own, and I feel like you'll have more time to think. But the greatest sort of thing that I think we can come to, and what I've personally done, is I got rid of my earbuds and get rid of Spotify, because that is like the most dystopian thing that can possibly happen. I don't know who the executives of Spotify are. I don't know who picks their music. What I do know is that they have an algorithm which picks the music that I listen to. So when I was listening to Spotify, I would plug in, I would get onto the train, I'd plug in my earbuds, and I would start downloading emotions into my head from some executive somewhere. So, I mean, they have the full authority. Quite frankly, I couldn't know if they did this, and I couldn't stop them. They have the full authority to go and change what I'm listening to, because I always use the sort of smart shuffle. So even if I'm playing only my liked songs, doesn't matter, because I have a lot of liked songs, and if I do the smart shuffle, they pick which songs appear. So let's say for an example, and I mean it is a bit of a conspiracy, but I truly believe they do this. What if I what if I need to buy a certain product? Okay, what if I need to buy something to, I don't know, some exercise equipment someone wants me to buy? Well, then they can just play me music which makes me want to like pump up and get stronger and go to the gym more. If they want me to, I don't know, like watch the news or something, right? Then they can play that song by Billy Joel, the world's always turning, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So that's just crazy. I don't think you should allow someone to just put music into your brain. I think if you want to listen to music, I think you should listen to music on a record player. I think you should have records that you like, and you should fully acknowledge that those things, it is an artificial way of making you feel certain things, and you should question why this music was produced in the first place. Because just a little quick side topic, I don't want to go too far deep into it, but music is like one of those things. I think this is true for everybody, but most people don't admit it, but it is definitely true for me. If I listen to a piece of music long enough, I will start to like it. It doesn't matter what type of music it is. It could be music I totally hated before. If I listen to it enough times, I will start to like the music. So even when I was listening to more music, I was very conscious of the fact of the type of music I listened to, because the type of music I listen to is the type of music I begin to like, and it is the type of emotions which go into my brain, which forms my thoughts, which forms my actions. But okay, if you acknowledge that this music is manipulating you, and you try and think, hey, why was this music made? Let us assume that the publishers of this music wanted me to feel a certain emotion. I think that's just obviously true, because otherwise they wouldn't pay for it. They wouldn't push it like this. If you assume that they did publish this music for a certain intention, I think that's fine. You just have to like logically, rationally think about what this music makes you feel, all this sorts of stuff. And then if you still want to listen to music, I mean, who am I to get in the way of you enjoying life? I think that's fair. I think music is part of human society. But, just be conscious. Then play it on a record player. Don't play it right in your ears like this, right? That's extremely unhealthy. I think there's certain stuff about, first of all, I don't think you want two charged things like in your ears. Like that feels like how you get cancer in your brain with these two things in your ears that are electrically charged. It feels like a bad idea. You know what I mean? But if we're even just getting away from that, just don't have music blaring into your mind all the time. You need a chance to think about. You need emotions to form naturally. You need your own emotions to form from your own life experiences, so that you gain wisdom, so that you gain knowledge, so that you're able to create and form new associations, new memories, so that you're able to think for yourself, you're able to have your own locus of control. But even just apart from, uh, yeah, apart from that directly, like if you don't listen to the earbuds, have your own record that you want, pull them out with people, sort of ballroom style. You can play the music, you can come together, you can whatever. You have a select few records. You're not having someone shuffle play it for you. You are thinking, what kind of music? I know why the music was given to me, but given that, what kind of music do I want to play in this moment? And make music an intentional thing. Music should not be an unintentional thing, because I'm going to be honest, like if you're just listening to music on Spotify, on shuffle, right into your ears all day, you are actually living in the matrix, because somebody is dictating how you feel. And I can feel when I say this, a lot of people are rolling their eyes like oh, come on, like I don't feel a certain way just because of music. And to that person I would say you're wrong. That is why you feel the way you do. Like really, you have to pay attention. It's hard because when you're living in the moment, it's hard to recognize that your emotions are being manipulated, because you live in the world where they have been manipulated, and so you just think that that was a natural occurrence. You think that because it happened, it happened organically. That was the way it was meant to happen. But if you didn't listen to music, it is possible that your feelings would have diverged like this, right? With music, like this. Without music, like that, right? And I think that's just true. I've had many instances reflecting on my life where music has influenced my decisions. Like I remember one time I was playing this game. It was like Civilization, and you can like sort of betray your friends. And my initial instinct, I can remember, was to just, I'm not going to betray him. I'm just going to play the game out, whatever. But I was listening to this music, which was something, it was like intense, and it was like some sort of like war music, and it was sort of like get what you want, whatever. It was sort of hyping me up. And I remember in that moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to play this particular game again. This is one moment in time. I might as well go for the win. And I betrayed him, I attacked him, and we fought, and it was a lot of fun. But that wouldn't have happened without the music. I came to that conclusion solely because of how I felt. And there are countless numbers of times, if you're honest with yourself, that music has affected how you think. And you should not let some CEO in an ivory tower in Spotify or YouTube, or however you listen to music, dictate to you on shuffle what emotions are going into your brain. It's extremely dystopian. It's extremely 1984. And you should not do that, right? You should listen to music intentionally, okay? So that was the point of this PSA. Thanks very much.